My relation with Mr. Matlala, it started in 2022.
The process is in council. You can't just say there is this general view about an individual. Therefore, I'm investigating this individual.
With this document of the commission, I am already being in trouble. So I can't fear to disclose what I recall and being afraid that there will be trouble. I am already in trouble.
A number of referrals for investigation. The Madlanga Commission, very much topical, and it starts right now. Good evening to you, South Africa, those watching around the world. My name is Blaine Herman, and this is It's Topical. Significant developments emanating from the Presidency and the Madlanga Commission this week. Also today, we caught wind of more developments playing out involving KZN Hawks head, Major-General Lesetja Senona. He says he now fears for his safety. In a letter seen by the SABC sent to Senona's lawyers to the Directorate for Priority Crime Investigations, it claims on Saturday, when he went to his office, he was ordered to hand over his work laptop, office keys and documents, and was escorted out of the building and allegedly told never to return. He further claims that he was then followed home by several vehicles, which he alleges could be linked to the KwaZulu-Natal SAPS. Now, the SABC contacted the National Police, who then referred us to the matter to the Hawks rejecting Senona's claim, saying he was still their employee. Now, this is what KZN Police had to say in response to those allegations.
General Senona had and still has every right to enter this building because he has got credentials to enter the building. But him coming, parking across the street, that was unusual. Parking for a long time with another colonel, leaving his car and getting his car, sit inside his car. They had what looked like a meeting outside the offices, inside the vehicle, and later on come to the building, entered the building himself with the secretary. He chose not to sign, but went through his office. Secretary signs, she followed. The other colonel they were with, who also came in, did not sign, but went through. Those raised questions that we don't usually see him over the weekends. If he does, he goes through the entrance with his vehicle. That's unusual.
This is no doubt a developing story. We're watching very closely how this all plays out. Look, the serious allegations initially made by Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi about the existence and operation of a sophisticated criminal syndicate that has allegedly infiltrated the criminal justice system in this country, it's still firmly in the spotlight, right? The Madlanga Commission submitted an interim report to the President on the 17th of December last year. The President also welcomed the referrals by the Commission of matters for immediate criminal investigation and urgent decisions on prosecution, as well as recommendations on the employment status and recommended suspension of individuals. Significant development. So, there are several referrals, right, as you've come to know. There are also recommendations in some instances for disciplinary measures to be taken against people allegedly involved in wrongdoing, including criminal acts and corruption. So that's important. But here's the important part for me. The President, like you, of course, expects all law enforcement agencies and other relevant criminal justice institutions to act with speed in implementing the recommendations of the Commission's interim report. So I guess the big question then becomes, what happens next? What does immediate action mean to you? How far will it go in restoring public trust in the affected state entities tasked with fighting crime and corruption? We will discuss. Also, this is also significant, right? Playing out another aspect of it. The President directing the Minister of Police, Professor Feroz Kachalia, and the National Police Commissioner, General Fani Masemola, to constitute a special investigations task team with a leader who will report directly to General Masemola. The task team will institute investigations against people identified by the Commission for investigations. So it brings us to this question of the week. We're asking you, does the Madlanga Commission's investigation referrals build confidence in the process, or does it leave too many unanswered questions? We'd love to hear your thoughts at SABC News_TV. Let's walk and talk. We're also opening up the lines. Have a look at your screen at the bottom. 011-714-0677-7879, 011-714-0677-7879. That is the number to dial. We'd love to hear your thoughts on this matter. Get dialing now. We'll talk to you in a short while. Perspective coming up. All right, let me invite my guest, the better mind on this, to help us break it down. Let me bring in Advocate Jazz Vilakazi, who is a legal expert. Thank you so much indeed, sir, for your time. We've got lots to talk about. And I would really like to break down some of the terms of reference with regards to what we've been hearing over the past week or so. In particular, we heard about Clause 7, right? Considering the Commission, it empowers the Commission to consider prima facie evidence. In practical terms, what does that mean?
Well, Blaine, prima facie evidence simply means evidence at a minimum that establishes that a crime has been committed.
Let's get you here, Advocate Vilakazi. People want to see your handsome face, not mine. Go on.
So prima facie evidence establishes at a minimum that there is an infraction or a crime that has been committed.
Right.
But most importantly, it calls on the accused person to then come and answer to that prima facie evidence.
Okay.
So that's effectively what prima facie evidence means.
Right. So this is going to be important as well in terms of the recommendations, employment status,
Yes.
right? Is it now up to the employer
Yes.
to suspend or not to suspend?
Yes. So you will understand that if somebody, for instance, General Mkhwana's, Julius Mkhwana's, commits a misconduct involved in his work, obviously the employer does have the prerogative to either suspend or not suspend,
right,
as well as the other side of it, criminal investigations from the government side, as well as any other civil litigation. So
right,
yes, it is up to the employer.
Is there any compelling circumstances that will compel the employer to suspend?
Well, in fact, there is. Number one, the seniority of the person that is involved in the matter.
Right.
Secondly, what sort of message is the employer now sending out to all other junior staff members? Can the top dog get away with it, or is the employer serious about rooting out corruption?
Right, that's an important one. I want to have a look at the next clause, Clause 10.4, and specifically it talks about providing the Commission with the power to refer matters for immediate criminal investigation and urgent decisions on prosecution. What sort of circumstances in this regard will be taken into account?
Well, remember, the Madlanga Commission has gathered evidence as it is.
Right.
It secondly listened to testimony from witnesses. Their view, as we now understand, is that there is indication of some sort of crimes which have been committed.
Right.
Which is why then this power to refer either to the NPA for prosecution or to the SAPS for further investigations has been given to the Commission.
Right. And I just want to look at the last clause of interest, Clause 12, and talking about that the state that the Commission shall, where appropriate, refer any matters for prosecution, what you said, for further investigation, or the convening of a separate inquiry to the appropriate law enforcement agency. When people see another inquiry, heads start to spin.
Yes.
Break that down for us.
In fact, people shouldn't be afraid because the word inquiry here could be across various sectors. It could be the employer, for instance. It could be referral to any other investigative body, because where the Madlanga Commission differs is that they've simply found the prima facie evidence. But for instance, it's for the NPA to sit down and say, is this enough for us to take before a judge?
Right.
It is the same for an employer. Is this enough for us to take before a chairperson of a disciplinary hearing? So that's how the word inquiry here is used.
Right. Talk to us about public expectation in terms of the speed of prosecution, and we know that we wanted yesterday.
Yes.
Versus the realities on the ground, given what our courts currently have to deal with.
Yes.
What would you say? Is this? It can't be a quick fix, right?
Yes. Well, it shouldn't be a quick fix because, number one, we still have the Constitution which guarantees specific rights.
Right.
Secondly, it is important for the process to unfold so as for the right decision to be made. You know, in law we have a saying, the law grinds slowly, but it grounds fine.
Right. But what about, justice must not only be done, but must be seen to be done.
Yes.
How do you balance those two?
Well, that's where, in fact, the Constitution comes in. Everybody that has been accused of a crime is not yet guilty of a crime.
Correct.
Indeed, the public wants to see a quick and a speedy process. However, the law does have its own processes once a matter gets to court,
Right.
which have to be considered. Therefore, the justice will be done. It might just take longer than we expect.
The better mind is Advocate Jazz Vilakazi. I want you to stick around. We're going to have further discussions on this. I want you to give us a call. Your questions to the good lawyer. We also have Donovan Williams also here, a social commentator. We're going to break this down for you, give you context. Chad Thomas as well, the forensic investigator, give you the various aspects of the Madlanga Commission. 011-714-0677-7879. Number on your screen. Get dialing. Talk to you shortly. Welcome back. You're watching It's Topical. I want to remind you about the question we're asking you, and it's basically about the referrals that's stemming from the Madlanga Commission's interim report, the Presidency putting out a statement, a number of referrals out there. The question is, does the Madlanga Commission's investigation referrals build confidence in the process, or does it leave too many unanswered questions? The gang's all here. We've got Advocate Jazz Vilakazi still with us. We also have Donovan Williams, who's a social commentator, and Chad Thomas joining us virtually. He's a forensic crime investigator. Gentlemen, thank you very much indeed for your time. Donovan, maybe I'll start with you with regards to the question that we're asking our viewers. The number of referrals that have been put forward. Obviously, the law needs to take its course. Investigations need to happen. But does this in any way build confidence in the public arena with regards to the process of the Madlanga Commission and, by extension, the criminal justice system?
To a degree, it does. It does build confidence because we're not waiting for the Commission to end for actions to begin. This is slightly different, this is slightly new, and we commend the President for that. But at the same time, the actions haven't yet started. It's the team that has provided that. That you've got to have a team, a special investigation team, etc. But at the same time, as the President does this, there are other questions. Why only these? Why not others who have appeared, and so forth? There's the mixture between the Madlanga Commission and the Portfolio Committee.
Right.
In the public eye, we mix it up. We don't have time to distinguish it, etc. So it raises those questions. What we need are two things as the public, as this runs out. The one is accountability, 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 and the other is transparency. That General Masemola, as he leads this, he needs to be as transparent with the public as possible. Otherwise, we won't have confidence because he's investigating his own officers. Right. You have the police, in a way, investigating the police. And so if they want to build confidence, please be open with the public.
Right.
This is what we've been asking for from the very beginning.
Chad, Thomas, what does accountability and transparency mean in the context of this special task team that will be investigating these allegations or the prima facie evidence?
I think it's important to understand that it's not just the task team that's been established. There's already an IDAC investigation taking place in the background in respect of the allegations made against certain crime intelligence members who've appeared at Madlanga. There's also the IPID investigation that the president has now commissioned, as well as, of course, this task team. There's two issues I think that need to be highlighted. The first regarding the IPID investigation. IPID is under-resourced at the moment and has very little capacity. They've got a massive backlog. They're now being given issues that they need to investigate that have emanated out of Madlanga. This is of concern because if they're not going to have the correct resources and capacity, it means that the current investigations where there's already a backlog are going to take a back seat so that Madlanga Commission inquiries can be investigated as priorities. If they are prioritized, it means that the murder investigations and the rape investigations that make up the most of IPID investigations will not reach the point that they should be reaching. And those are cases that impact on the civilians. So my concern, of course, is IPID's capacity. The second issue is that the president is now vocalizing, without saying it, that he's in support and he gives the backing to the current Commissioner of Police. Now, our National Commissioner, General Fani Masemola, his name has also come up at the Commission of Inquiry. He's also been brought into question by various witnesses, yet the president is now saying that this task team has to answer directly to him. That means that he has the backing of the president, which means that the president supports him. That's a good thing. But it also means that a lot of the people that will be investigated, where that task team ultimately answered to Masemola, are going to say that Masemola was not objective, he was subjective because of some of the issues that were raised during the commission inquiry.
Advocate, what does that do in terms of the credibility?
Well, obviously, the credibility of Masemola might be damaged, especially if his name has come up. But the bigger focus point is the public and what South Africans perceive to be the matter. And it's important for South Africans to realize that this president, when he said that I'm going to be pushing this commission and I'm going to be referring, for me it comes across as somebody that meant it. Now, the confidence obviously in the South African public might rise. And also then, there might be a lot of apples that fall from the shaken tree.
What does it do? And the president in some quarters has been commended, Donovan, for acting in a matter of speed. But what would it do if any of these processes are delayed to an extent whereby we get out, we say who's involved or being investigated, but there's nothing at the end of the equal sign?
Isn't that the problem, though? The difficulty we have as a country. All of us read about the world. When there's an accusation about a public figure, generally what seems to happen in the rest of the world is that public figure steps out of their position, suspends themselves, and says, okay, look here, let's this matter get sorted out, I resign, whichever it is. We don't see that. That maxim, that legal maximum of innocent until proven guilty has been, it's been so exploited that you can't even have a suspect. You can't be suspicious about somebody. And so as the public, I think what we are really concerned about is that you could have somebody who suspends the activities, get a lawyer and say, I can't be taken. I don't know the legal matters in that way. But more than that, I think one of the things the president needs to think about, yes, we know the commission is going on. Minister Mkhunu, his testimony was interrupted basically by scheduling and so forth. The other former minister and so forth, the politicians in a manner of speaking, and General Sabia, former Minister Klele, they haven't come back and rebutted and so forth. And so therefore they are not. But the president could remove Minister Mkhunu as a member of cabinet. That doesn't require the commission. Or Minister Mkhunu himself could say, I want to step out of the position. This is what the public wants. When I talk about accountability, it's not accountability in terms of a process. It's personal accountability because of your ethics. That you may not have intended to do something wrong, but it came out wrong, or you did it for the wrong, for good intentions. There's none of that the public feels, and that's what makes us scared.
What about if the president argues due process? Let's be fair to the minister, let's flesh it out, and at the end of the report, when he eventually gets the report, then we act.
So presidential prerogative means nothing. So he means how does he appoint his cabinet? We think that's the president's cabinet. Yes, within a GNU or whatever it is. But the president, this is part of the problem. Yeah. The African National Congress, which is the president is a part of, should not be appointing the cabinet. They should not be. They should be listening to the president who says, I'm appointing these people, giving their views, but they should not be in charge of appointing the cabinet. And this is what gets us angry as the public. And that's what the Madlanga Commission is, a soap opera. The portfolio, it is soap operas to us. We laugh about it and so forth, but we laugh about it with heavy hearts. We laugh about it like South Africans, there's tragedy, we laugh. Because we're not getting the confidence we want. We want our president has acted well, but let him act in terms of his prerogative. Do not talk about due process. There's no due process in appointing or removing a minister. That's the president's responsibility. He needs to live up to that responsibility. We know that this is only now that we've had witness E and so forth that has come forward, but just on that basis, he could say, or as I say, if Minister Nkunu can say, let me do this to the South African public. I may have faulted. Let me remove myself. Let me do this. We are not getting personal accountability and ethics from people put into positions of responsibility. And we need that.
Let's hear what the public has to say. 011-714-0677-7879. We ask you to give us a call. We have Moremedi from the capital, Pretoria, on the line. Moremedi, a very good evening to you. What's on your mind? What's your question?
Good evening, my brother.
Good evening.
All right. Look, I have a problem here, man, with the way the commission is operating, or maybe the decision that will be taken by the president after the commission has made recommendation. I will make an example. There is a procedure that we know that when you have to take a matter to the court, it can either start with the lower court and then the higher court, then until maybe if you want to go to the labor court, then to the labor court. But once it is there, it is the last body. I want to say now, like Zondo Commission or Madlanga Commission, they are the last body. If now, after they have made their decision on matters, why should it go to the lower people who are lower in their profession to go and make some other investigation when already after the interrogation and everything, they came with a conclusion.
Right.
And then there's no other conclusion that will be like the way they did it professionally. Right. So I'm against this thing of like taking the matter down again, maybe eventually to the police, to the Hawks, etc. Right. So can you clarify to me, why should it work like that?
Right. Good question. Advocate?
Well, two things there. The first one is that the Madlanga Commission, as I said earlier, has come up with prima facie evidence. Prima facie evidence needs to be tested before a judge. And therefore, sometimes it might need to be investigated a little bit further. Secondly, the NPA is also in the same position where they are sitting there saying, this evidence that we have before it, can it stand judicial muster, as it were, in order for it to go ahead? And then lastly, the constitution of this country guarantees everybody a free and fair trial. The Madlanga Commission is not a court of law. Right. It is simply 3 lawyers, very experienced, gathering evidence in order to pass it on to the appropriate body.
What do you make, Chad, of the way evidence is being led by the evidence leaders?
I think it's been great schooling for the public and even some of the advocates representing certain people that have been placed under examination themselves have been schooled by the 3-member panel. I think it's very important that we understand that this is different to Zondo. Zondo was held over a period of time. It was into something exceptionally serious, such as state capture, but it was something that was removed from most of us. Yes, we can talk about the lack of service delivery as a result of state capture, but unlike crime that impacts each and every one of us, Madlanga has taken us as a nation, and we are now as the other guest Donovan said, we're enthralled by the soap opera. And I think what's coming out of Madlanga is very important because we're seeing action being taken. Now, people are saying, why wasn't Nkunu or Senona or any others placed under investigation after the interim report? Well, we must understand that Witness E came after the interim report, and some of the testimony came after the interim report. The interim report was delivered to the President on the 17th of December 2025. A lot of the testimony we've heard in the last 2 weeks, especially from Gopal, Witness E, and Senona himself, have changed a lot of perceptions about the people that are involved in this. So we can't expect the President to have foreseen that Witness E would have had these allegations against Nkunu, especially about being phoned on a confidential number while in witness protection and somebody having to compile a statement for him, or what Gopal had to say regarding interference in other investigations involving ward councillors. So it's a very interesting dynamic. And what's amazing about the Madlanga Commission is its influx. We've seen that they've delivered a report to the President. It's an interim report, and we've seen that action is already being taken. My concern, of course, is how these investigations are going to take place, because it's all fair and well that we see what's coming out of Madlanga as prima facie, just like we saw out of Zondo, but it has to be tested correctly and it has to be evaluated correctly. A lot of people watching Zondo thought that heads or scalps would roll almost immediately, and of course they didn't. The NPA, through the ID, which is now IDEC, had to investigate those matters thoroughly before they could enroll them. No prosecutor is going to enroll a matter if they don't feel that there's a prospect of a successful prosecution. Hence what Advocate Jazz had to say regarding a thorough investigation following the recommendations made by the inquiry.
Right. Donovan, I want to just bring you in before we go back to our calls, and I'm just getting a message that we've got from Lesetja Senona's lawyers, and it says that Major-General Lesetja Senona's lawyers confirmed to the SABC that Senona has left KZN and is in a place of safety. He fears for his life, but he is not in hiding. It goes on to say that Senona currently has not been served with any notice of suspension, and he is not on suspension. So Senona is free to return to his office, but at this stage, he does not feel safe to do so. This developments today from yesterday, how's it playing out in the public sphere?
You know, on one hand, you have the Mbenenge judgment, which makes us worry as the public about our judiciary. That for us seemed like a judge acted really untoward, but you know, some of the evidence didn't stand up, and so it makes us queasy about the judiciary. On the other hand, as our forensic investigator said, we look at those three justices, Madlanga and his colleagues, and we are proud. We are proud of them like we were proud of our team that was at the International Court of Justice on the matter of Israel and genocide. Yeah. We get proud of them. We want to feel proud as a country, feel proud of our leaders. And then at the same time, we see somebody like General Senona asking, why is he going to the office on a Saturday? He is not suspended. I think that has been said more than once by official a media statement in Twitter and so forth, or X. The matter is this: we are tired of their games. And this statement by him, no one has suspended him. He hasn't explained his actions that he took going to an office on a Saturday, parking across the street and all sorts of different things. He has not explained that here he's mentioned in an interim report in not a nice way. The President has issued a statement. All of those things don't matter. But he then tells us he's worried about his safety. No, we're worried about our safety from people like him who seem to be abusing their positions. And this is why the public grows tired, because every of our institutions seems to always have something a little bit rotten there. And so, General Senona, thank you for the statement. Let me say this to the public, but that's not what we're looking for you from. We are asking you to cooperate, to help. And if you've done something wrong, say it, because we are tired of everything needed to be tested. Where's that personal responsibility?
Right. Safety of witnesses who give testimony can't be underestimated, right? It's important that we keep people safe. But how does this weigh up in your mind with regards to the legalities of what you've heard him say and what his lawyer is saying versus what the KZN Police are saying?
Look, Safety of the witnesses is probably the key aspect. We will know with, was it witness C that passed away late last year, and at some stage he had been offered protection by SAPS. I'm rather shocked by the lawyer's letter because they say that he fears for his life, at the same time he's not in hiding. So where exactly is he? So in respect of not holding the commission back, it's quite critical that especially witnesses that are going to come off record or at least in camera, that they be provided the necessary safety. I believe that Justice Madlanga himself has come out and commented on the safety of witnesses. So it's critical.
Let's go back to the lines. We have Sicelo Ngwenya from Pretoria. Sicelo, a very good evening to you.
Good evening, Glenn. Good to be back.
Good to have you on the program. What's your questions for our guest?
Well, it's more of a comment, really. I think one thing that I've picked up and is necessary for everyone to understand is that the Madlanga Commission is uncovering a serious network of wrongdoing within the criminal justice system. And of course, keeping in line with the title of the show tonight, I think it is of great benefit to explore these things. I mean, I've listened to General Senona's testimony. I've listened to Witness E's testimonies and things like that. And I think we need to appreciate that this fact-finding commission is really giving us a view into what is the rot within the SAPS, and we should allow them to go deeper into investigating that. But then what remains critical is what is going to happen thereafter, because a lot of institutions, and I heard one of your panelists asking a question on how are these allegations going to be investigated, and what we need to really look into now is, after all this is done, after Madlanga concludes and submits the recommendation, how are they going to investigate this such that the public regains their confidence in our criminal justice system? And that's my take on this issue.
Thanks so much, Sicelo. Chad, let me bring you in and just pull back the curtain for us a bit and give us a sense of what happens next in terms of an investigation of this kind.
The investigation that's going to be undertaken by the Special Task Team is going to be an investigation to take allegations and to prove it with evidence. A lot of what's been said, we talk about intelligence. Intelligence isn't evidentiary. There's a certain way that evidence needs to be presented, and there's a certain way that subpoenas have to be issued. We look at Section 205 of the Criminal Procedure Act as an example, and the resulting Section 236s out of that. What we're seeing was allegations by General Mkhunazi, July 6, 2025. So far, those allegations have been proven correct. So far, everything the General has said has proven to be true. We were taken by surprise when Senona admitted to the relationship that he had with Vusi Kapitala. But having that relationship and having a friendship or a brotherhood, there's a difference to it having been criminal. We go back and we look at two cases that have made history in South Africa. The first would be Jackie Selebe and Glenn Agliotti. Jackie Selebe and Glenn Agliotti had a friendship. They regarded one another as brothers. But the relationship became corrupt the minute that Jackie Selebe shared a confidential report with Glenn Agliotti that showed that Glenn Agliotti was the focus of a United Kingdom investigation into international drug trafficking. Then you look at Shabir Shaik and you look at Jacob Zuma and you look at that particular matter. They were friends. They were close. They were confidants. Allegedly, the relationship became corrupt when there was this encrypted fax where Shabir Shaik acknowledged that he would protect Thales from prosecution because he had somebody who was a very upcoming person within the ANC. Now, all these allegations need to be proven. With the Jackie Selebe and Glenn Agliotti case, it was proven. With the Shabir Shaik and Jacob Zuma case, it was a very interesting dynamic because we don't distinguish between the corruptor and the corruptee, yet the corruptor went to prison and the corruptee is still on trial. It's a very interesting dynamic. And we don't want to see that as citizenry in this land. We don't want to have cases that have dragged on for more than 2 decades. So it's very important that these task teams that are established within SAPS, within IPID, and within IDAC do deliver their results as quick as Madlanga is delivering on their commitment. And we're very fortunate to have somebody like Madlanga. Just watching him, seeing how he keeps time, seeing how he keeps focus, seeing how the evidence is led and how he is chairing this particular inquiry gives us faith that the follow-ons will be as good.
Just before we move on to from that point, Chad, from the statement from the presidency regarding IPID, it says that where IPID is already seized with certain matters, the Commission will make a referral to IPID on the status of their investigations and seek explanations for any delays. IPID, my understanding is it has jurisdiction over SAPS and Metro Police, correct? Do you foresee any conflict here with regards to territory?
I don't. We've got two independent organs of state that are there to investigate malfeasance within the police and within the Hawks. You've got the Office of the DPCI Judge, specifically there to investigate allegations made against members of the Hawks, and you've got IPID, which is there to investigate serious allegations against members of the police, the Metro Police, the traffic departments, etc. It's important to understand, and I said this at the outset of the insert, that IPID has a massive backlog at the moment. IPID doesn't have resources and capacity, and they're having to prioritize what's coming out of Madlanga, which means that the investigations that they normally seize with, which is murder and rape involving police officers, are going to take a back seat. It's important that if we're going to be referring work to the IPID, that they have capacity, they have resource. And this is a problem we've spoken about for the past 26 years, is capacity and resource issues. It seems if there's a budget, but there's a throttle when it comes to being able to utilize that budget effectively so that these investigators can have the necessary resources.
I know I have to take a break, Donovan, but I want to just button up this issue with regards to how the public will see this. If there is any sort of conflict between IPID and this task team, or any investigative unit that might clash with this task team, what would bode or give confidence to the public, you know, for results?
Every time you and I avoid a pothole or hit one, we're going to say those resources went to the Madlanga Commission or to IPID. And resources bother us. Is there resources going that should be for service delivery? We've got lots of issues, and there's always a resource problem. The matter is, what would really get us angry, and really angry, is that there are bun fights over territory and sovereignty and so forth, as opposed to rooting out the rot within the justice system, like the caller Sikelo raised. If I think back, I think it was the January 8th, 2003 statement by then President Mbeki as president of the ANC, which said we have a problem in our judiciary, our justice system. It's a hangover from apartheid, you still have those systems. At the end of last year, President Mbeki then spoke again publicly, talking about the intelligence industry, talking about the problems that they are there, and we still haven't come to the number for it. The Madlanga Commission is taking us there. We need to get all of them into rooms to start disclosing, because if you're not going to do this, you can't be having remnants of apartheid, systems of apartheid, that no matter who you're bringing into it, they learn the same trade in the same way and they become the same thing. We got lucky, we got a General Mkhwanazi who came out. If he didn't, it meant he was just going to go on from one faux pas to another, and we'll be more angrier actually.
011-714-0677-7879. Get dialing. We'd love to take your call. We've got about 15 minutes or so on the program. What do you think in terms of these referrals for further investigations? Does it build confidence in the process of the Madlanga Commission to eventually get us to a better place, justice for all? We'll take your calls next. Welcome back. You're watching It's Topical. Important question we ask you. Lots of developments regarding the Madlanga Commission. The Presidency also issuing a statement regarding these referrals. So the question is, does the Madlanga Commission's investigation referrals build confidence in the process, or does it leave too many unanswered questions? 011-714-0677-7879 is the number to dial. I'm told we have a number of callers. Let's go to Vusi from Mpumalanga. Vusi, a very good evening to you.
Good evening, Blaine. You're speaking to Vusi Sibia from Parkerstroom.
Good to have you, Vusi.
Yes, plain. I welcome the referrals from the Madlanga Commission, but my worry is are they going to bring us results? Are we going to get results? That's the first thing. And then two, when we're watching the Madlanga Commission, I will just be specific. Commissioner Kumalo read a dossier that was shared by Senona, saying that she revealed the information of some people. My question will be to the panelists: what's going to happen to him? Because he revealed sensitive information, and there were case dockets on that dossier. It's 220 odd papers of a dossier. So what's going to happen to him? So lastly, Blaine, as I conclude, we work hand in hand with the police. I'm the CPF chairperson district in Mpumalanga, in Khetsibande. So it worries us as community when you find people are just doing this, what you're doing. We are stretching the surface. I'm worried about it because the road runs deep. Lastly, if we can overhaul the criminal justice system and get police as independent bodies, I think that's the way to go. Thank you, please.
Vusi, appreciate your call. Thank you very much, Vusi, calling us from Mpumalanga. Let me throw that to you, Chad, with regards to alleged sensitive information being revealed.
So it harks back to what I mentioned earlier. The whole Jackie Salebi case was premised on the fact that he shared a confidential report with Glenn Agliotti, who was the focus of multiple investigations, not just in South Africa, but worldwide. So when you have Senona dealing with somebody who he claims he didn't know was a criminal, that beggars belief. One has to look at his clearance. He has top secret clearance. He's not just a provincial head of the Hawks. He's a senior member of the Hawks, which means he sits in on project meetings. He knows who persons of interest are. He can't turn around as a major general with vast experience in the Hawks and turn around and say, well, I didn't know that Vusi Matlala was a person of interest. He can't say I stopped communicating with him in March, but they see right up until the day before Matlala was arrested, he was actually communicating with him and sharing documents with him. And those documents are of concern. They hadn't been sensitized. They hadn't been redacted. He claimed they were in News 24, but News 24 wouldn't have published something where a force number, a name, and an ID number is visible. So he shared the raw intelligence with a person that we now know is alleged to be one of the masterminds in criminal organizations in South Africa.
Donovan?
Yeah, the first question of Vusi from Vakostrom and Khetsibande is, to me, is what South Africans are asking. Will this result in action? We take heart that it has resulted in action already by the president, but also by Ekurhuleni. The mayor of Ekurhuleni must be commended. He's already, before these recommendations even, he already began to act against persons whose names came up who were part of the city. So those are the types of things. I mean, it's not really, elevated as the way it should be or promoted. Those are the things that can build that confidence. So what Vusi is asking is lots of us ask because of, commission fatigue, etc. Does something result in it? We've had it so many times. Action has to take place. And as our good advocate was advising us that, the law it grinds slow, but it grinds fine. But it needs to grind. We want to feel the grinding. And that's what, then we will feel it. So we want action. We don't want it to be rash action, but there must be action. There mustn't be excuses for inaction. And that's what concerns us. So where you can take action, we want our president, we want our leaders to take action like the mayor of Ekurhuleni seems to have, in a manner of speaking.
Right. Advocate, I just want to understand and help our viewers understand with regards to the difference of testimony given at the ad hoc committee versus that of the Madlanga committee. Can it be used, both sides, can it be used in a court of law?
Well, the interesting thing is that witnesses do swear to tell the truth at both instances. And therefore, there's the element of perjury. So a witness is not allowed to lie under oath. And that can be held against them even in a court of law. That testimony that is used even at the ad hoc committee as well as the Madlanga Commission can sit in front of an investigator, a prosecutor, to say, well, this is the basis which we have to take this matter to a judge. So let's go and press charges against this person. And if they've lied under oath, then definitely that's another charge.
Okay. Let's go to the lines. Rufunwa from Toyondo is on the line. A very good evening to you.
Good evening.
Good to have you. What's your comment or question?
Yes, regarding to Madlanga Commission, we would like a president to take a step further regarding to everything which was being said in the commission. It must not be the same as what happened in the commission. South Africa, the whole, we want to see when the step has been taken to individuals of those ones who have to be accountable for everything which was being said.
Thank you very much indeed for your comment. I guess that's what it boils down to, right, Donovan? People want action. People want action, as we spoke about, Advocate, yesterday. But help us, how do we balance this public expectation versus how we know, the law works in this country?
That some of the people fingered need to speak up. They can't wait for process. You defend yourself, but defending your integrity means you must have integrity to say, I have erred. I have done wrong. That's what we don't get. We don't want, with due respect, Advocate, we don't want the legal fraternity to be in charge of justice. Because justice is not just law. It's ethics, it's morality, it's integrity. It's values, it's principles, all those things in our constitution. If that is our constitution, then as South Africans, and in particular those in positions of responsibility, they need to step up and say, I've made a mistake. So yes, the process is difficult. The process is fraught. So we will get angry with President Ramaphosa because it's easy to get angry at him. We'll get angry at the media. We'll get angry at the lawyers and so forth. But as the public, I think we will take so much of heart if a person can just show the integrity to say, I have erred, or I did not intend to do this, but I'm taking the consequences. And that's what we have not seen. For how long? For too long. In fact, maybe we've never seen it since 1994.
Yeah. How does that sit with you, Advocate?
It's important that people take accountability, without a doubt. However, there's two types of accountability. There's one that can be taken by the person themselves. Then we have this entire legal process that must play out. That's a different type of accountability because at the end, there are consequences and repercussions, jail time, fines, etc. And there's also a loss in status. I'm of the view that the quickest way that we can resolve this is by setting up a similar structure to the SIU, which is one of the most successful investigative units in this country, and they have their own court. And that is, and I think we seem to forget that the president, in fact, did mention that General Fani Masemola can set up some sort of task force towards this. So that, for me, is where we'll be able to get faster results because so resources will all be moving towards one angle, and that should get us then as very far down the process. We should see some people go to jail.
Do you see anything changing with the new National Director of Public Prosecutions?
Yes, I was quite enamored by what Shamila Batoyi said when she put up her hand and took accountability to say, listen, this thing didn't work out. I think now the wheels have virtually been put onto the car, and now the car's going to start running. What we need is effective prosecutors in this country, and we need judges and magistrates for that matter that are above reproach. And these things can move quickly. Shamila Batoyi yesterday, I believe, said that we take about 209 days before a matter can get to a prosecution. That's too long.
Yeah. Chad?
Shamila Batoyi has left a legacy that she's the only NDPP in our history to have finished a term of office. And like the advocate said, she's put the wheels on the car. Now the car needs to start running. There was a lot of work she did behind the scenes. She can't just be remembered for what happened at the Nkabinde inquiry into Chauke's fitness to hold office. That being said, we do have a similar organization to the Scorpions that's been set up, which is IDAC. We hope that we don't see factionalism like we saw between the Scorpions and the police. Something that Mbeki tolerated, something that Mbeki didn't say much about. In fact, some could say he even protected Celebi to an extent. And it resulted, of course, in Clemo Glantle, when he was the president, disbanding the scorpions. We can't see a repeat of that. We've heard Feroz Kachalia here calling for the disbanding of crime intelligence. We can't have that. Crime intelligence is a critical component. We need to look at the good in these units and replicate it, just like the good that Shamila has done. And we need to look at the bad and make sure that the bad doesn't repeat itself.
Donovan, as we wrap up, I always wonder about optics and how it's landing in public space. The demeanor of the witnesses appearing both before the ad hoc committee as well as the Madlanga committee. Those who exude confidence, but those who are a bit shaky, for a lack of a better word. Does that, obviously evidence and facts will lead, but does that hold any sway in a court of public opinion?
Look, for the Madlanga Commission, the inquisitorial nature of it through the justices as well as the evidence leader really helps the public a lot more than the portfolio committee. The portfolio committee gives us a lot more entertainment. You have flowery, colorful characters in parliament and so forth, and you'll hear a lot of jokes and you'll hear a lot of things. But the Madlanga Commission, in particular the justices and the evidence leader, as somebody speaks, no matter how confident they are, but as they ask them questions and probe them and they give real answers, not just the plausibility, but the believability is what matters to the public. And so far, and I think all of us, the Madlanga Commission, the justices and the evidence leader have done us well. We hope they keep that. And that's what I think has allowed the president, with the first interim report, to already act. And we would hope that is accelerated as we go for the next, because I think they have to report every 3 months or every 4 months or something like that. And so that would help the public. But it means then the setting up and establishment and so forth of that task team, how quickly it happens. Yeah. So the pace, the believability of the witnesses through the demeanor of the actual people leading in the commission, and as opposed to the portfolio committee, which is slightly different.
You have confidence in this process that it's going to take us to that better place?
Yes. At the end of the day, what South Africans really want is safe streets. What they really want is cops that can come, not after 2 hours. And this is one of those labor pains that this country has got to go through. Yeah. There's a lot of reform that needs to come in. And the Madlanga Commission does have as one of its basic reference points that they need to suggest institutional reforms to the police. So I do have faith. I do have faith in the criminal justice system as a whole. There's a lot of upstanding judges, magistrates, prosecutors and defense attorneys. We will get there. Right. However, this baby first needs to be dropped on its head a few times.
Chad, how do you see this playing out? I've got about 30 seconds.
Very positively. I think we already seen decisive action being taken by the president. In fact, when he came back from Brazil after hearing Mkhonazi's July 6 presser, he took decisive action, and he's taken decisive action after the first interim report. This can only bode well for us as the citizens of this country. And like we've said countless times, thank you, General Mkhonazi.
Chad Thomas, Advocate Vilakazi. Mr. Williams, thank you very much indeed for your time. Value added, no doubt. Conversation will continue. We'll hope to have you guys back as well to give us context. All right, before we go, here's my take. Give us your faith and your blessing, and under providence all will be well. Give us the tools and we will finish the job. I was watching a documentary on Winston Churchill the other day, and this quote from the 1940s has jumped out at me, and I started thinking about it in terms of the present day South Africa, the context of the present day South Africa, and what we are currently going through. We too are seemingly fighting a war against crime, right? So we need all the blessings and all the faith we can get. But for me, the more importantly, we also need good women and men with the right tools to fight the good fight. How do we make sure we have the right people on the front lines and in these commanding positions? One way is to remove those who are pushing against the force for good, who are corrupt, who hurt this democracy, right? Consequences and accountability. That's what you want to hear. That's what you want to see. The Madlanga Commission, the ad hoc committee, it helps to separate the good from the bad. It pulls back the curtain a bit for us to get a sense of what's going on the ground. Yes, it must be stated, everyone is innocent until proven guilty, a fundamental right. So let the law take its course. but let us continue to shine the light on good and the bad. It's important to shine that light. After all, as we all know too well, democracy dies in darkness. And that's my take. If you miss anything on this program, then be sure to watch this episode of Topical on YouTube, as well as SABC Plus. If you're watching a repeat of this program, then as always, the news continues. Unwrap Africa up next with Thembekile. Until next week, my brothers and sisters. Take care. Bye-bye.